40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of I'm 40% Podcast. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and as always, I am joined by my co-host and subordinate, Nick Sohoya. Nick, how are you doing today?
Oh.
Today, our extremely special guest is a Drag Race fan favorite and star of the Folsom Street Fair. It's Sakura. And let me play the intro music. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, hello. Oh, my goodness. Not just star of Folsom Street Fair, soon to be star of Folsom Street Fair, the sequel. I don't know if you guys know, coming in October. I play a man whose best day is behind him, and he gets fisted in an alley. So, no, I'm not doing that.
I was like, fisted. We're turning a corner. Since I tastefully brought it up, Rockham, I just have to say, I actually, I think it's very punk rock of you to both be a drag queen and sex icon. So.
A sex philanthropist. So.
Yes. We're all familiar with your work on television and in street side building windows, and we're all very proud of you. Own that sexuality, girl. We love you. We're huge fans here at I'm 40% Podcast, and maybe I'm crushing just the tiniest bit, but who's surprised?
Rock.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll take it, Mom.
Sure.
Thanks. I'm sorry. She's like this all the time. Rock, we all lived in San Francisco at the same time, and we had the pleasure of, while we were living in San Francisco, you going on Drag Race and representing that wonderful city. And I think everyone wishes you were on for a little longer, but you did a great job while you were there. How do you feel, and this is a loaded question because I've already seen your TikTok about it. How do you feel about being criticized for farting, and then they did a whole challenge about the farts this season?
Well,
I saw that TikTok too.
For a lot of people that don't watch a lot of podcasts and interviews and stuff, for Jinkx knows because we've been on set of Drag Race. Michelle Visage is almost constantly farting. There's a fart constantly squeezing out between her cheeks, and the thing is that she doesn't like to address farting on the show because it kind of draws attention to her own flatular problems. So it's kind of like an internal thing. So I think Michelle has a lot of things. It's in her book. I think she has a lot of things she needs to work through first before we can address it. So I'm not mad. I'm just hoping and I'm praying for Michelle's breakthrough.
Colon health, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. More fiber.
Oh wait, give it to us one more time, Nick.
Interesting if true.
Yeah, there we go. I gotta say, I was kind of like whatever about that whole joke until you said it's in her book, and you said it with so much genuine, earnest concern for my dear friend Michelle that it really sold the joke for me. No, Jesus, one continuous fart slowly being released. Only on Drag Race, people.
Since they introduced the chocolate bar.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not a fan of bottom shaming memes, but I saw a couple with that chocolate bar that I was like, okay, that's objectively funny. So all right, I'll allow this bottom shaming meme to persist maybe a couple more days.
I'm going to allow this.
Look, if you're gonna bottom shame for something that happens normally in the body, maybe you should just develop a scat fetish. Maybe that's the way you become woke. You know what I'm saying?
Be more open-minded, Mom. Get into poo.
I was the one saying I don't like people bottom shaming. My God.
I wasn't saying you. I was saying you. I was saying you as the people listening in general.
The royal you.
The royal you.
The royal shaming you.
Now, Rockham, before we began recording, you were saying I cut you off mid-sentence because I wanted you to talk about it on the show, but you're already a fan of Futurama.
Oh, I absolutely love Futurama. I was one of those people that would fall asleep to either Futurama or Inuyasha, depending on the day of the week. Sometimes 12-ounce mouse or C-Lab or something, but it was usually Futurama. And it differed, I would fall asleep to it either on Adult Swim or on Comedy Central, depending on the era. There was at one time it was on, oh my God, what was the channel?
TBS?
Spike TV.
Ancient network
Spike.
called
It was on
Fox.
Spike.
No.
It was on Spike. I watched it on Spike right after Stripperella.
That's very butch of you, Rock, to be watching Spike
Yeah.
TV.
Between that and the tank top you're wearing today.
It's okay. I'm tucked right now, so that's the
It all evens out.
exactly.
So today's episode, I gotta say, right off the bat, I think is a very well written episode. Lots of very funny one-liners, lots of world establishment for Futurama.
Yeah.
And they lay down a lot of bricks that are going to come back into play throughout the series for many, many episodes to come, as well as introducing a new series regular character. So this is a very formative episode. It's got a lot of exposition. We've got a lot to cover. So take us away, Nick. Let's start out at the very top.
Very well.
Very well.
Very well.
We have no cold open this week. We have a Chiron. It says, coming soon to an illegal DVD. This Chiron is pretty good. It's not laugh out loud funny, but it's above average. I give it 4 Chirons
It's also dated.
out of a possible 5
very,
Chirons.
very
Yeah.
dated.
Yeah,
I
it
give
should
it
be coming soon to an illegal flash drive. Or
I give it a 3.5 Chirons out of
there's
5
no
Chirons.
0.5s. We're not doing a 10-point scale. It's a 5-point scale. Rock.
Okay. I give it a 3.10 Chirons.
Okay, we'll round up on that one.
I'm having a hard time where my my little peekaboo cutout on my shirt keeps making sections of my arm disappear. Look how skinny I
It
am.
looks- it makes you look svelte, yeah.
Skinny legend.
That's a funny phrase, Rockham. You should coin that. Nick.
I already have.
Did you really coin Skinny Legend?
No, I did not. That
Oh,
was either Mariah Carey, Trixie Mattel, or Mr. Puffin stuff. It was one of the 3.
I mix those 3 celebrities up all the time.
Me too.
I do really want to go to Mariah Carey's Palm Springs motel, though. The professor says, good news, everyone. The university is bringing me up on disciplinary charges. And he says that's not
Wait a
good news
minute.
at all.
That's not good news. So, right at the top of the episode, we are reintroduced to the fact that the professor is a professor. And
He's actively teaching.
While he is running this out-of-home business, he is also a professor at a university that he rarely attends. But we've already covered this in the Mars University episode with the monkey and the hot monkey brains.
Robot House.
So
Robot House.
So we don't need to really go into what the fuck is the professor doing at a university. We already know it's all very convoluted, but
Well, it's
I
interesting
guess-
because he says he's in trouble because he took Hitler's brain and put it in a great white shark. Yeah. But then we learn that he's not actually being brought on disciplinary charges. So was that what they cited in the letter, or was he just that's what he assumes they were mad about?
I have a feeling that was just what he was assuming. You know, he was like, sure, everyone wants to tamper with Hitler's brain, but when you put it in the body of a great white shark, suddenly you've gone too far. He got a little Mr. Belvedere at the end there. Sorry.
Yeah, and it turns out it's a surprise party for him for his birthday. Has anyone ever had a surprise party for them? I never have. I would be pretty mad.
No.
Me neither,
No,
but if I did, I would say the exact same thing that he said. If I'm going down, then I'm taking you all down with me.
You're gonna expose everyone's secrets.
Oh, I love that. That seconds before they're honoring him, he's revealing everyone's secrets. We get the first hint. Is this the first hint at his long-standing rivalry with Professor Wernstrom?
Is it really?
I think it might be.
No, because there was the garbage episode where Wernstrom had the alternate plan to deflect the garbage.
So we already know that he doesn't like Wernstrom, but I do love after they reveal that it's a surprise party for him, he still doesn't get it. Or should I say, Professor Hairpiece? No, Professor, we're here celebrating you. This is a pretty fun setup because the professor's 150 years old. He's lived quite a life. And yet somehow the only people there to talk about him are his current crew and one surviving member of a past crew.
I mean, they're all dead, for sure. We've already established that in the first episode, that everybody died that has ever known the professor.
Oh, yeah, maybe all of his friends were older. He was like like that freshman who's hanging out with all the seniors in high school. Maybe that's his vibe.
Yeah. And Mom
the
didn't
only
come
other
because
person
she
who knows
hates
him that's not there is Mom, right?
Yeah.
Or Scruffy. Was Scruffy there?
Scruffy doesn't exist yet.
Scruffy
Scruffy
comes
doesn't
and goes.
exist yet?
I mean, I think he's existing in the background.
Okay.
Trying to get Scruffy to come to a function like this is trying to pin down a cloud. You know, you can't capture lightning in a bottle, so.
For the professor's birthday, they're doing a roast. How fun. I wish I could write for this roast. It might be hard because they're very weird. And it's just very hard to imagine saying anything to Dr. Zoidberg that would offend him because he's disgusting. Zoidberg does a set and he has a real pheromone kind of vibe going on. Just a lot of quiet echoes.
All he was missing was really femme sighs in between every joke. Let's get this roast to cooking.
The next roaster.
Zoidberg's one joke that lands wasn't a joke. He says, "Good evening, ladies and germs," and they give him a rim shot,
laughs,
and he says, "That wasn't a joke. I was referring to Professor Streptococcus." But then when he does try to make a joke, he makes a terrible joke, a very pheromone style joke where he's just stating a fact and there's no laughs, which sets up for the beautiful 1-2 punch of then the surviving crew member comes up and in his Star Trek beeping machine does one beep, totally kills, and it really is all about timing. Comedy is all about timing, people.
Has anyone seen that episode of Star Trek with that guy in the chair and the beeps?
I have not.
No.
I have.
Is that a next gen one?
No, it's the original series.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely haven't seen it then.
In the pilot for the original series, there was a different captain. His name was Pike. And then he died as an excuse for Captain Kirk to be the captain. And then, 30 episodes in, they brought the same actor back and they put him in that chair.
That's really fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, Pike.
You can be back on the show, but you won't get to talk.
Wow, producers really must have had it out for this actor. You know what? You could maybe be the star if you kill this first episode. Actually, we're killing you off. We're giving it to another actor, and then we're going to have you come back, and you're going to be in a chair that can only beep.
Yeah.
That's All Stars.
I haven't unpacked.
He's the first food on All Stars for sure.
I haven't unpacked how I feel about the chair with the beep. But, of course, it's a recurring bit on Futurama. We've seen it a few times. This is now our second time seeing the chair with the beep, right?
This is the first time with the chair beep.
Oh, God damn it. I thought the chair with
Time is a flat circle, and Jinkx is experiencing all moments simultaneously.
All Futuramas at the same time. Isn't there a character in some show who experiences all time at once? Oh, whatever.
That's Steven Universe. That's Garnet.
No, it's the Watchmen, isn't it? It's
the
Watchmen.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't he experience all time at the same time?
And a slight breeze.
That dick!
Rock, did you see that dick?
I
That
did.
big blue dick?
It was floppy.
It was
like
very long.
wiggly and stuff.
It was floppy and gigantic, and they knew what they were doing when they slowly panned down his body, following his body contour to show what was on the floor, but then just like at a certain point, it just follows the dick to what we're what we're going to eventually land on. It's like the dick leads the way.
I like the close-up because then it goes... At least I think that's what happened.
I remember that happening. Yeah. Actually, I think it made this sound. Fry does a little speech. This is prime Fry. He's like,
well, first Bender says, "And now a man who needs no introduction," and then goes and sits down, and Fry's just sitting there pleasantly waiting, and he goes, "Fry, get up there!"
Bender's killing it as MC.
Is someone who, Fry does need an introduction, though. Fry
no one knows who he
is.
He gives a very funny speech where he was supposed to make a movie, but then he got lazy and Leela made it. The way he words it is funny, but it was too long to write down.
He says, when I was first asked to make a movie about the professor, I said, "Why should I?" And then Leela ended up making the movie. But if I had made it, you could
better
bet
believe
there would have been
more topless women.
Topless women on motorcycles. Roll film.
We got there. So Leela has made this movie about the professor's life. It starts in his childhood, and I have a lot of questions. Because he grew up in a neighborhood called Hell's Laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
my
a play
question
on Hell's Kitchen in New York.
I understand. My question is, it seems to be a nerdy district, a nerdy neighborhood. Is he nerdy because he grew up there? Or did the government say this kid's nerdy, he has to live in Hell's Laboratory?
It's kind of like a product of your environment, right? It's kind of like... where you grow up kind of dictates who you are. So just the fact that he was born in Hell's Laboratory probably kind of dictated the rest of his life.
Well, if we wanted to get really deep into it, we could talk about like, people who come from a bad neighborhood are bad news. But then it's like, what made the neighborhood bad? Why are so many people of the same demographic in that neighborhood? Is it because they chose to be there, or is it because of long-standing oppressive systems that basically called those shots before they were even born?
Redlining and shit.
We really need to blame Reagan's head.
Yeah, you can't really talk about nature versus nurture until you talk about the systemic oppression that is inherent in our society at large. So, was he born a nerd?
Joke.
Yeah, I know.
Follow-up question.
Yeah, I know. But then
Hell's
we get
Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen is a gay neighborhood. Do you think Hell's Laboratory also has a lot of gay bars?
Well, I don't know. Are there a lot of gay science nerds? I mean,
there's at least one on TikTok.
I know a lot of gay science nerds, and they're also furries. So there's a Venn diagram overlap between gay nerds and furries. Yeah.
Leela's narration says, "Fast cars, trendy night spots, beautiful women. The professor designed them all." He didn't live a glamorous life.
From his tiny one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
It's also canonized that the professor was in diapers till he was 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is just,
there's a couple
doing it for the furries now with the diaper fetishes.
There's a couple canon things in this episode. The professor's incontinence is a recurring theme, both when he was young and old. But we'll get into some more recurring themes later. But what I want to point out is this is the first time that I noticed this. But when they're looking back on the professor's life and he's about Fry's age and he looks like a huge nerd and he's in his apartment posing he's got something here and he's pointing this way. And then Fry goes, "Ha! What a nerd!" and poses exactly like the professor in the picture. And they look exactly the same.
I did not catch that.
It's very funny because it's Fry calling the professor a nerd, but Fry's also a huge nerd, and they're related. So it's basically saying, part of why the professor is who he is because
of Fry.
Fry's his uncle and also maybe his grandpa. I don't know. The family lineage in the Fry family is all fucked up because of the time paradox.
I never thought about the repercussions of that. We'll get to that in a few episodes. we learn that the professor worked for Mom, and he created the modern humanoid robot. He created one that could qualify for a boat loan. Yeah. So pre-professor, robots were just sort of like mindless automatons, it seems.
Well, it seems like they might not have been mindless automatons, but they definitely couldn't get a boat loan.
Yeah, they could.
That's what it really sets the precedence is.
Yes.
Where do we draw the line with humanity? Where do robots really?
We've also talked a lot about why robots who are built to serve a function also have so many human traits. And maybe that was always a goal for robots, so that they could live in society, you know, amongst humans. Maybe like the fact that the robot finally qualified for a boat loan means they've crossed this threshold in robot-human relations.
That's the one we're waiting for Sophia to go to. I get that she can like reference other people and she's like the first citizen, but can she get a boat loan?
Is Sophia the robot? Mm-hmm. Okay.
What was Gigi's fake Sophia's name? She
robot.
Couldn't be Sophia because it's trademarked, so she was, what was she? Sonia? I don't know.
Something like that. Anyway. Who knows?
The professor, he gets up after the video, and at first it seems like he likes it, but then he was like, oh, I'm very sad because I don't feel like I've done enough.
Well, he has a line where he says, how amazing to see my life's accomplishments summed up in a 3-minute video. And when he said that, I was like, that's kind of how I feel about Drag Race, my season of Drag Race. It's like, how amazing
Malambo
to see all of my best work summed up in a 12-episode arc.
They also do it when they reference all the winners on later seasons, and then they're like, all the past winners, and then it just shows the moment where you have the crown on your head and you go, and that's it, 2 seconds. You're like, okay, that's it.
And also, I was being hyperbolic. I think I had 14 episodes in season 5. So who am I? What am I complaining about? I had a whole 2 extra episodes.
We're at 14 right now in the current season.
Oh, really?
Isn't that fucking
we're at episode 14.
crazy? And no one went home 2 weeks in a row.
And there's 8 people left.
If Carrie Colby had not gone home the episode that she went home, she would have gotten to be on 3 more episodes. Wouldn't that piss you off?
Oh, you better believe it. You better believe that everyone in those previous episodes is pissed.
One of my favorite moments from this season was RuPaul talking to the Queen impersonating Tammy Brown, calling her Wanda Sykes. That was one of my favorite moments of this whole season.
I love Angie. I will say I'm fully Team Angie. I love Willow and Bosco, but I'm Team Angie. Back at Planet Express, they're trying to console the professor. He's so sad about being old, which is weird because he usually loves being old. And it's revealed that when you turn 160 in this universe, the robots from the Sunset Squad come and take you away to a retirement planet.
A retirement planet. Where is it? Nobody knows. I mean, is this feels reminiscent to something? I mean, it's like, you know, it's euthanasia light.
Are you saying also a bit of like reminds you of like Soylent Green?
Oh.
It reminds me of Soylent Green, but it also reminds me of
Logan's Run.
God.
When they're old, they go on a train or something.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's about a kid who, like, what is he? Run away from home, but then he has to make his way back home, and he ends up living with a bunch of different families along his way. And then he lives with an Eskimo tribe, and he becomes really close with the grandfather in this family he's staying with. And then they set him adrift on an ice plank.
They made fun of it in Family Guy once, huh?
I cannot remember the name of the movie, but it does make me think of, like, there's a part in the movie where they talk about I don't know enough about Eskimo culture to know like how factual this scene in this blockbuster movie was, but it reminds me of that moment where they set this old grandpa adrift on an ice plank because he's too old for the family to take care of. So the only decent thing to do is to euthanize him, passively euthanize him by setting him adrift.
Iceberg. What would you rather have? Would you rather have the home?
True.
But would you rather have the home or the iceberg?
I
Or a third option that you get to come up with yourself.
I mean, my plan is, I don't know. I don't know what my plan is. My plan is to get a houseboy at the right age, so then...
Rock, are you looking for a job?
Wait, how much younger are you? Because if you're only like 2 years younger, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah, but Rock exercises and you do whatever you do.
I exercise my rights regularly, Jinkx.
How
I'm
old
flexing.
are you, Rock?
I just hit 30.
Hey, congratulations. Life is about to begin for you. Trust me.
My life began just as soon as my knees and back went.
Everything before this moment was just practice.
The professor decides, because of his concerns about his legacy, he's going to appoint a successor. And
A
everyone
successor for the professor. Stupidest joke. Didn't need to be there, but I'm fine with it. Like, it didn't serve any purpose other than to hear
rhyme.
Zoidberg's voice to go.
Zoidberg's voice.
Zoidberg's voice. A successor for the professor.
Everyone is arguing about who will get to be the successor. Hermes.
This scene is the best one in the whole
it's so
episode
funny.
for me.
Let's talk about our favorite parts. My favorite is when Hermes limbos under the oven and Leela just puts a trash can in front of it so he can't get out.
It's like it's happened before. Like they have an MO for when Hermes starts trying to settle debates with limboing. My favorite part is when he wouldn't even trust Amy.
He wouldn't even trust anyone with his teeth. Yes, he would.
He wouldn't even trust Amy with his dentures, and Amy goes, "Yes, I would." Which is like, why, Amy? Why did you put his dentures in?
I love that
Well,
part.
it's easier than holding him.
I think Zoidberg also says he's gonna want someone with his lobster-like tenacity. I don't know why that was so funny to me.
I will say in Amy's defense, when I filmed all of season 5 with all of those girls, and none of them ever knew that I had some false teeth. And when the first time Detox came to hang out over at my house, like it was our first time hanging out post filming, and she came over to my house and we were hanging out and I took my teeth out and she went, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And she grabbed my teeth and immediately put it in her mouth. I don't have a lot of fake teeth. I have a little partial, but I watched her just stick my teeth into her mouth and then go like this. And it's like, I think it's a compulsion that some people have. They see fake teeth and they go, "This goes in here."
I mean, it's also just like a reoccurring theme in Western media, putting dentures in your mouth. Bart Simpson has done it. They did it on the Rugrats with the goose. They did it on, there's just a lot of time. They did it in SpongeBob. There's a lot of times where just like the dentures in the glass is kind of a trope where you put it in your mouth and just see how funny you look with big teeth.
I like on The Simpsons where the turtle gets Grandpa's teeth and he's chasing after him and the turtle has his teeth and then it bites his finger with his own teeth. Do you remember that?
My
Hoisted
favorite
by his own, what is it?
Petard. Picard. My favorite denture joke is also from The Simpsons when Grandpa takes his teeth. "Oh, the boss is gone. Let's have some fun." And he takes his teeth out and puts it in a hamburger bun and he goes, "Ever seen a sandwich that could take a bite out of you? Look at the sandwich." And then the guy wraps it up and hands it to the customer. And then the customer goes from off screen, "Ow, this sandwich took a bite out of me."
Good times. The professor says he's going to name his successor. And it really seems like he's going to pick Fry because he's like, his brain's not developed and such.
Yeah.
And he's my closest living relative.
I got this. Did I just say lividing? My closest lividing relative.
My closest lividing, moving, breathing relative.
My most lividing, breathing, moving, hip happinest relative.
And he reveals that it's not Fry, it's his clone, Cubert, and he's in a glass tube.
Cubert J. Farnsworth.
It rhymes with Hubert.
Hubert. Yeah, that's what it is.
Mhm.
I was like, what's the professor's name? Yes.
It's also the name of a little video game creature. Are you
Little
familiar
orange
with
boy
Cuber?
that has the Birdo mouth.
He does look like
That
Birdo.
slut.
That's slut. We see the professor's clone, and he's not much to look at. He's also a kid. He's just
He's
a
a baby.
pudgy, nerdy looking little
Well, what is he, like 9? How old
But
is he
he-
supposed to be, do you think? 12?
He's like
I
8 or
don't know,
9. And his nose is turned back because he was in the test tube for too long.
Yes. So he
I
has a
think the
little
whole
piggy
point
nose.
of them creating the Kubert character was because writers were getting so many complaints from fans of like, this would never really happen. The science in this show really doesn't work. So they kind of wanted to actually make fun of that. I think I heard that in like behind the scenes that was kind of the original idea behind the conception around Kubert. So every time Kubert comes in to point out a fallacy in the series or like
That's true. He does that a bunch. In
it's
this
because
episode.
the fans do that shit all the time.
And they're
Yeah,
annoying
I
like
mean,
Kubert.
I think cartoon fans are a special kind of fanatic. Obviously, we have a podcast dedicated to cartoons. I also think science fiction fans are really hung up on incongruencies in their favorite shows. And so when you combine cartoons and science fiction, I can only imagine the toxicity that runs rampant in that fan
Look,
base. We have a modern day example with Rick and Morty. Like that fan base is bloodthirsty.
Oh, really? I had no idea
the
the Rick and Morty fan base was so. Oh my god, they're the
Well,
opposite.
there's the chill Rick and Morty fan base,
Uh-huh.
cool stoners
Like
like
us.
the three
We're
of us.
cool.
Well, I don't know that you're a stoner, Rockham.
Mhm.
But then there's the incel Rick and Morty fan base, and they're a whole separate breed.
There's the people who are like,
fan.
you know what? I really relate to Rick and how he's smarter than everybody else, as if that's the message that you should take away from watching Rick and Morty,
Just
and not
lots
that
of
this man is deranged.
Sociopathic nerds in there.
I met a female writer for Rick and Morty at DragCon one year, and she told me she wrote for Rick and Morty, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to meet you! What an amazing show! Can you get me an audition to be a guest character?" And she was like, "Honey, I'm only there to get death threats." I can't remember exactly what she said, but she's like, "I'm just there to write jokes and get death threats because of the toxicity of the incel male fan base of Rick and Morty." But I could go on and on. I think the best
I
way
don't think you're ever going to be on Futurama because they already cast Jennifer Coolidge for that episode. I feel like that was your shot.
that was Rick and Morty. You mean Rick and Morty?
That's what I
Hello. Hello. No, I was-
spot on Rick and Morty so bad.
My favorite joke about crazy fans actually also comes from The Simpsons. It's the Poochie episode, and they're doing a Comic-Con thing, and someone asks Homer and the voice of Itchy and Scratchy, is it just Tress MacNeille playing herself in that?
It's Tress MacNeille having a conversation with herself. I'm sure she's the whole convention.
But
Is
some
it not
fan,
Nancy,
some fan-
the other one?
Nancy Cartwright.
I think it's Nancy Cartwright.
Well, whatever. The point is, someone raises their hand and says, excuse me, but in episode 138 of Itchy and Scratchy, Itchy plays Scratchy's ribcage like a xylophone, and you see him hit the same bone, but it makes two distinctly different sounds. It's like, that's the best way to sum up cartoon
Are we supposed to
sci-fi
believe this
fans.
is some sort of magic xylophone?
So are you on the fan side or are you on...
It is funny
Listen,
because we
I'm just
spend the whole
commentating on what
podcast-
I see.
It
I'm a
really
the
is-
whole
viewer.
podcast asking these exact same questions, but we're like, Kubert's a dork.
I'm just saying it really is cherry picking with a lot of sci-fi fans because they'll ask about these scientific incongruencies, but you're not going to ask why there's perfect lighting in a dark forest on a planet they've never been on before. You're not going to ask why what's her name, Counselor Troy's hoo-ha is perfectly lit up from the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Hubert, as we mentioned, calls out a few of the show's logic jumps. Why do they have a bending unit? Why is Dr. Zoidberg allowed to practice medicine, etc.? And the professor decides to show him some of his inventions. Anyone have a favorite invention? I think there's a clear best one. Do you know the one?
Well, I know the smelloscope's in there, but I can't
But
remember.
then they go to the machine that translates into an
the dead language. It translates into a dead
An
language.
incomprehensible dead language.
Bonjour.
Hello. Bonjour. So fucking funny. What happened to the French language that now I'm sure there's French people later on.
Yeah, this is another one we need to put a pin in. If we see a French person after this, then we need to become little Cuberts.
But they need to speak French though. They could still have the accent. It could be just like a New York, Jersey thing now. That's just the accent of wherever they're from.
They're from Quebec, but they they never learned to speak French, only the accent. Okay, so there's also a very ludicrous explanation for how the engines work. Does the professor have the only light speed engine? Because it seems like he does based on what he's talking about. But that doesn't make any sense because people travel through space-time all the time in this show.
Well, here's the thing, is like they don't say specifically if the professor's ship is unique from every other ship that's flying around, or if the professor invented something that has been installed in most modern ships.
True.
Because we know that the professor is essentially responsible for all the robots because the professor came up with the original design for the original robot, you know? So the professor is actually responsible for a lot of the technology in the world because of his affiliations with Mom and Mom's Friendly Robot Company. So it's possible that the professor patented the engine design that gets used in most like modern spaceship engines, and that would also explain his fabulous fortune that he is about to leave to Cubert.
Okay, that makes sense. I always thought it was unique to the ship because of the way that it works, moving the universe around the ship.
Yeah, as we learn at the end of the episode.
I also think it could be unique to the ship because even if the professor designed like the prototype for all spaceships, of course he's going to soup up his own, you know? So maybe he patented light speed travel, but his ship is even one step beyond that. And like,
didn't they also talk about how they changed light speed in the episode in like a year?
That's especially impossible. And then speaking of that line, Professor's new catchphrase apparently is "Nothing is impossible, not if you can imagine it." That's what science is all about.
No,
Willy Wonka.
That's what being a magical elf is all about. Is it who's voicing Cubert? It's a famous voice actor. Is it Nancy Cartwright?
No, it's Katie Seuss. She also does Phil and Lil.
I was gonna say it's Phil and Lil.
I love Phil and Lil.
And she's also done a couple of voices on the show too. They just gave her a main role.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Phil and Lil. Is she also Timmy Turner on Fairly
I
Odd
think
Parents?
so.
No, that no. That's oh my god. What's her name?
Futurama
You see,
Cubert voice actor.
did you see that there's a fucking live action reboot of Fairly Odd Parents?
No, I did not.
I mean, they've had that before a couple times. The last time they did a live action Fairly Odd Parents, it had Drake Bell, so we don't really talk about it.
Oh yeah.
So it's Kath Soucy, and she definitely did.
And Tara Strong is Timmy Turner.
Rugrats. That's right, Tara
But
Strong.
Tara Strong is
in
also
there.
in this series as well too.
Yeah.
I mean, all the really strong voice actors are in here. Billy West, Tara Strong. Phil Lamar is basically half the cast.
Yes.
Tara Strong is one of my favorite voice actors because she just seems like a really cool person in general. And then she is in like a voice actor power couple because I think she and Greg Sipes, who voices Beast Boy on Teen Titans, I'm not sure if they're a couple or if they just spend a lot of time together, but isn't that fun thinking about a couple of voice actors dating and they're like, and they play Raven and Beast Boy on the same show. So it's just like Raven and Beast Boy, ship them.
Do you think
It's
when they're
cute.
fucking, they do funny voices?
Yeah, when
I
that
hope
tape
so.
leaks, I'm down. Even if it's just a podcast of one of their sessions, I'm down to hear that.
I know my lovers all expect me to say water off a duck's back at climax. So
But it's not even on your back. It's in your back. Water off a bare back.
I'm actually wearing my Jinkx Monsoon brand. Hold on.
Underwear.
Yeah.
For the listeners at home, she's taking out.
Oh my god!
It says water off a duck's crack.
For those of you listening at home, there is Comic Sans written on a G-string and Jinx's butt right now. Very,
You're
it's
not
very
the
precarious.
only one who can show off her goodies.
So they go to Elzar's. Is this the first time we're meeting Elzar?
No.
Mm-mm.
Are you
No,
sure?
because Bender had to work for Elzar briefly.
Oh, it's just he's acting so starstruck.
Wait, has
Bender,
that happened
towards
yet?
Elzar. I don't
Have
think
we done
so.
the
I think this might be
episode
first
where-
Elzar.
This can't be first Elzar. I feel
Like,
like
if
Elzar
any
has
of you
always
Cuberts
been
are
there.
watching this podcast, let us know if this is the first appearance of Elzar.
We should
Has
have
Bender
a Cubert
has
episode
Bender
where we just take
become-
nerdy fan questions. And
Wait.
everyone
Has
can
Bender
be Cubert.
become the ship's chef yet? He has, right?
Yeah.
Mm,
Because
Are
we
you
had
sure?
the salt planet. We had Fry eating
The
the
salty slug.
the salty slug, and
Oh, okay,
he's
yeah.
learning how to make the salty slug from Elzar's cooking
From
show.
Elzar. So this is the first
what
time he's
this
meeting him in
is-
person.
This is the first time they're meeting him in person, which is why Bender's
Okay.
like, "Oh my God, it's Elzar!"
Okay.
That
Elzar,
makes
of
sense.
course, is a parody of famed television chef Emerald. Bam.
Anyone watch cooking shows? I do not.
I know most of you think that Elzar is
I like a
quoting
competitive cooking
Alexis Mateo when he says "bam,"
Says bam.
but he's "bam, Bobby, come home, bitches."
the truth is that
show.
Bam, Bobby, I want you to come home. The thing is that Alexis Mateo is actually impersonating Emerald Lagasse
Yeah, that was
because
back
Emerald
after
Lagasse
Snatch
is from
Game.
Puerto Rico. Did you guys
Is
know
he
that?
really?
No, he's not.
I'm like, I interviewed Carrie Preston. She was on a TV show with him, and this did not come up.
I love TV cooks. I wish that the Emerald reference kind of like lasted a bit longer because Emerald kind of died off. But I used to love when I was a kid watching like Julia Child.
Mhm.
And then I guess now it's moved over to like YouTube cooking shows.
Oh yeah. I have a housemate who like barely cooks, but who watches constant YouTube
Cooking with Dog.
shows.
With Dog?
Have you ever seen Cooking with
Dog
Dog?
the Bounty Hunter?
No,
No,
Dr.
not
Bounty
not
Hunter.
Dog the Bounty Hunter. They made a reference to it in Steven Universe once. It's a Japanese YouTube channel where it's like this old lady and she cooks with the dog next to her on the pedestal. And they have like a voice actor do the voice of the dog. So he's like narrating the cooking show. And he's like,
I wanna watch
now
this."
cut the onions into half quarter moons. You see scum, remove it.
I had a crush on Jamie Oliver when he was young and hot, and he had a show called The Naked Chef. Nowadays, I don't know what to make of Jamie Oliver.
Was he
but
naked?
No, it was Naked Chef because he cooked with very few ingredients. It was
That's
like
misleading.
Sort of like how the
how to-
barefoot Contessa rarely shows feet, even though we all want to see
That was the pilot episode.
it.
But do you want to hear something about Jamie Oliver, celebrity chef, that I learned from my British husband? He started a health food initiative in the UK where he got the public school, well, I guess, you know, the school system of the UK. He got a certain beloved food item banned because of how unhealthy it was for kids. It was called turkey Twizzlers. And what it is they take ground turkey, press it into like long tubes, and then twist the tubes so they look kind of like red vines made out of turkey meat. And I guess it was incredibly unhealthy, and he got them banned from the schools, and kids protested and like little children boycotted Jamie Oliver because and Michael was telling me about it, and he's like, I remember the day we all protested, and we were like, give us back all turkey Twizzlers, Jamie Oliver.
Interesting if true.
The UK is wild. The UK is wild. They will protest anything that isn't Black Lives Matter. That's crazy.
They will protest anything but human rights.
Exactly.
Because one mustn't bring up such topics in mixed company.
Elzar forgot to cook the chicken. Is he a bad cook? Is this a commentary that TV chefs are bad at cooking in real life?
I just think Elzar is really like more flash than substance.
Just like Emerald.
Yeah.
You know what? Be nice to Emerald. I heard from Carrie Preston that he's a very nice man, and even though he wasn't the best actor on his own sitcom called Emerald, that he oftentimes would decompress by cooking for the whole crew and cast. So, you know what? Leave Emerald out of this TV chef bashing.
Leave Emerald alone.
I'm sure that Elzar is a good chef, but he's just an inattentive person.
He's an inattentive person because he's more concerned with the celebrity status than he is about putting he's a sellout. He's a sellout. Let's move on.
This makes me want a Spice Weasel, honestly.
A Spice Weasel.
The professor leaves a tape. It reveals that he's actually
the professor.
Oh my god. He leaves a tape revealing that he was secretly 160 the whole time. He was lying about his age. And he's leaving this tape because the Sunset Squad is coming to get him, and it's a Grim Reaper robot. He's informed
the Sunset the Sunset Quad. I love this exit line of the professors. Goodbye, cruel
world. Goodbye, cruel lamp.
Lamp. It's the lamp first. Goodbye, cruel drapes lined with what appears to be some sort of cruel muslin. And the cute little pom-poms with the tassels. Cruel they may be. It's so fucking good. It's one of my favorite lines from the whole series. I know I say that once per episode, but it really truly is. Goodbye. I just love the cute little pom-poms with the tassels. Cruel though they may be. And then they knock them out because they don't have time for this.
So he leaves the tape in a manila envelope. They find it. Fry and Qbert, their rivalry is really intensifying. And they argue about how to solve this problem. Fry and Leela say, we'll just go find the near Death Star, the planet where they keep the...
That's impossible. Nothing is impossible. You'd know that if you really took after the professor, like I do. You're his uncle. If anything, he takes after you. Which means I take after you. Ah! I love the whole logic train there. We were all thinking it. Qbert just voiced it.
Qbert is such a negative Nelly in this episode, and because of that, they force him to be the hump.
I also love the copious amounts of DNA that they extract from him, and then he's like, "We're gonna need a cell. We're gonna need a DNA sample. Here you go, buddy. We only needed one cell. Hey, keep the change."
I do
also,
think it's
what is that DNA? They extracted it from Qbert, but it's just a big
bone marrow.
It was like kind of clear. It kind of looks like something you take out of some sort of bile or something.
Oh yeah.
Some but they extracted it with some kind of giant syringe. Right?
Yeah. It's ass juice. If they put it back in, they can give Qbert a BBL.
BBL, that's what it is. This is the first step of the BBL.
Let's talk about this plan to get in there. Fry is pretending to be an old man. Qbert is the hump on Fry's back, and Leela is just pretending to be a robot by putting a Grim Reaper robe on, but she's just a human underneath.
Well, we've learned the robots don't. It's easy to disguise. It's easy to fool robots. Apparently,
they are pretty dumb.
They fall for lots of ruses.
Hubert says, "Why do I have to be the hump?" And Fry says, "Because you're too ugly to be a wart." And they all giggle. And what really got me was even Leela got in on the giggling because she
Yeah. That's a read, mama.
yeah. I feel like normally she's not for these kind of antics, but she just hates Hubert, so she's into it.
Which also solidifies that he's that much of a turd that if Leela hates
Fully a
him too, then Leela will get in on the joke. I love the part where Fry is imitating the professor because he's like, "Get those kids off my lawn." And the robots are like, "It's true.
It's
Old
true.
people do tend to dislike children on their lawns."
So that convinces
I like these robots, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
they're
feels like
"Why
a
is your-"
D&D episode. It feels like a D&D plot where it's like
Just the
you
logic.
roll an 11 and for some reason you persuade the guards to go through.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
charisma points are high enough.
Exactly.
I've got talking hump syndrome. THS. I like that. You just go with it.
So we get into the main meat of the near Death Star, and it turns out it's just the plot of the Matrix.
Very
just
similar.
with old
Mixed with a little
people.
San Junipero.
You know
A little
what? I
San
just watched The
Junipero.
Matrix and I did not get that it was a Matrix reference just now. I don't know why. It just like the imagery didn't register that it was a Matrix parody to me.
Well, it's a little different
This-
because the pylons with all the people plugged in are shaped like tombstones, so they don't look like ow. I hit
Well-
my elbow.
Well, what I love, it doesn't happen in this episode because this isn't our only time that we visit the near Death Star.
Yes.
But later, they kind of pontificate on the whole setup of using aged human bodies as batteries, and then Fry starts to say something like, "Wait, wouldn't it take more energy to keep the people alive than the energy that they could possibly be producing?" And they point out a major plot hole in the Matrix, but they don't get to explore it much because they're being chased or something. I can't remember.
But that's a later episode.
But
We'll
the
get into
point
that
is
later.
like, yeah, they the Matrix was all the rage at the time, and Futurama wasted no time to make their own Matrix.
Which was the style of the time.
It was a style at the time. We used to
Um,
put an
Have
onion on
yellow
our
onions
plots.
because
That
of
was the
the war.
Give me 5 B's for a quarter, we used to say.
We okay, go on.
We're doing a lot of Simpsons on this episode. They are fleeing from the robots. They have to rip the professor out of his drawer.
We have to remove these very carefully, or the shock could kill him.
Kill him.
Hey, stop! Like, pop him out. They go.
I love these henchmen robots. They're chasing after them. They go, "Seize them, seize them, seize them." And one of them goes, "Get them. I mean, seize them."
And is he the same one who crashes? He's not.
He might
having a good day
be.
at work.
Yeah. He crashes, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so bad at this." They escape. They are in like a weird ship thing, and they blast through the roadblock's arm, and he goes like,
but in order,
You remember that?
Yes, of course I do. In order to fully escape, they need to get the ship going really, really fast, very quickly.
"Yeah,"
And-
because the engine gets shot by like a pulse.
Yes. And
laser.
there's no one there to fix it because the professor is knocked out. And so Hubert now must crack the secret of how the engines work. And when he tried to get this information from the professor before, the professor says, "It came to me in a dream. Then I forgot it in another dream." Well, why don't you explain to me how it works? Now that's impossible. So Hubert now is like unlocking his full potential by realizing that it's not that the engine makes the ship move really fast, it somehow moves the universe around the
it.
ship. So the ship is staying stationary, which is some kind of science fiction mumbo jumbo, but it works, and they get the hell out of there. Get on up out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
That scene also has a like a patented Fry really long joke where he goes, "Fix it, fix 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 it."
I love it.
They manage to escape. The professor, once they're at safety, he reveals what it was like in the retirement planet. And apparently the simulation was just a really depressing retirement home, even though it could be anything. It could be San Junipero. It could be you get to relive your youth. It could be many things, but it's very depressing.
Well, I mean, I think we've learned that they're not kind to the old in the future.
No.
Or now, man.
Or now contemporary. Or back in 2000 with the Matrix.
It's definitely commentary on how we treat our
It's
ages.
some sort of
This is no
commentary.
country for old men.
And then the professor and Cubert kind of end on better terms. So that's the arc of this episode, and Cubert will join
gets
us
his first
occasionally.
good news, everyone. The professor is fully healed.
Yeah.
All around, this is a very funny episode.
Great episode.
Oh, yeah.
There's good commentary, there's good writing, there's good one-liners, there's good callbacks. We get a lot of exposition. I think this is one of the more solid episodes of Futurama, and we didn't have to have any discussions about problematic parts that didn't age well.
yeah.
So that's always fun.
Let's see. Was there one? Let's think about it. There could have been.
Anytime they call Amy dumb is sexist. Anytime the professor's old is ageist. I'm sure.
And I'm allergic to seafood, so every time Zoidberg opens his mouth, I'm completely offended.
Canceled. I'm sure people who only have one eye don't like all the depth perception jokes, but you know.
Well, that's the episode. Why don't we do the questioning?
Hey, let me ask you something.
Rockham. We have compulsory questions we ask every guest here at I'm 40% Podcast. And the first one is, who would you do of the entire Futurama cast?
Oh, that's
the
easy.
Futurama universe, who would you do?
That's easy. Zap Brannigan.
Zap.
Zap Brannigan, because I hate myself. Also, I love public nudity, and he's just like an inch away from just revealing his whole. I know it's uncut. I feel it. I smell it. I know it's there. He looks smooth. He loves velour.
Yeah,
he loves velour, and I feel like he's just desperate enough to never want to leave. You know, so there's that too. I'm not saying he'd
fall in love with anyone who gives him the time of day.
Exactly.
So you could have him, but the thing is, it sounds like once you have him, you'll never lose him. So,
I mean, I'm kind of down for that. Who else in the future? Maybe one of the creatures with like big arms, like lots of tentacles or something like that. Or you know what?
The gelatinous blob monster.
Yeah, the dad of the next Cubert episode or another Cubert episode. Yes. They have the bully that's the blob, but the dad is there.
Blob.
That dad was he's kind of a dom.
Thank you, Mr. Gelatinous Blob. You're going places in this company, Jones. And then, that's you. You want to be put inside of the blob?
Oh yeah, I feel it. You know, furries got their thing. I got the blob thing.
This episode brought to you by furries. Your next question is, what character in the Futurama universe do you most identify with?
There's a couple of them. I would say a lot of gay people do tend to like gravitate towards Leela because she's like, you know, kind of like an oddball, doesn't really feel her place.
It's pronounced eyeball.
Are you gay?
Am I gay? Yes, I gay.
Tight.
But
cool.
If I really had to pick someone, I would say oh, you know what? What's her name? Coilette. Coilette. A land that I didn't make up.
Oh, we have been talking about this episode since we started doing this.
I can't wait.
Men really love it when you slather it on. That's my makeup.
That line.
Because some of the writing in that episode is so fucking funny, but the episode in its nature is problematic.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to have to talk about this episode that is simultaneously horrible and hilarious at the exact same time, but two things can be true. Coilette, that's a really great answer. I don't often do this, but I'm also going to say I get heavy Robot Devil vibes from you.
They keep touching me in places. Yeah, they tend to do that. Actually, you know what? Maybe Robot Devil is where I'm at. That might be.
You could be Coilette with a Robot Devil rising, or vice versa. Now, our
Futurama horoscopes.
our third question has traditionally been, are you going to watch more Futurama, having now watched this episode? But I think we need to update it now that we know that there is more Futurama coming out, brand new Futurama. I am updating this question. And from this point on, the question is going to be, will you be watching the new series, sorry, I was British for a second, the new season of Futurama, slated to come to Hulu with the full cast returning? Have we ignited or reignited a love of Futurama in you through this podcast?
Well, I just finished rewatching the series, so I'm kind of in a spot to watch the new Futurama for sure. And I always I love cartoons and dissecting them, so I want to see how they bring this 2022 humor into Futurama, because usually when I think of Futurama, I think of 90s humor. Mm-hmm. So to see it and we did 2010 humor with the last reboot on Comedy Central. So with this one, I want to see how they update it as well. I mean, Futurama jokes are always going to be the same. You can put any joke with any character and it'll still be funny. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of the nature of it, especially in later seasons. But yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. And I want to see 80 of the voices done by Phil Lamar. And I want to see, let's see, what do I want to see? And I want to see another heartfelt series finale with Fry and Leela again. They have 80 different endings to the series, but I love them all.
That's the only misgiving I have about the show coming back, is that last finale was such a mic drop. So good.
It was a good mic drop, but it almost felt like, they reset it.
It was a
so
reboot.
That if they ever had a reboot, they could pick up essentially where they left off and not worry about the full ending.
Yes.
I want to see Billy West only voicing white characters, or that he belongs to.
Fingers crossed.
And I do kind of wonder if they're going to go the Simpsons route and hire new voice actors to play some of the recurring characters. Mm-hmm. That would be great. Or, we could also, I don't know that Amy's dad is going to serve any purpose in the future. Maybe Amy's dad has passed away and Lauren Palm just voices Amy and her mother. And maybe we don't need Amy's racist stereotype dad to be there. So
you don't want Billy West playing an Asian stereotype dad?
Not anymore. So, Rockham, you have been an amazing guest, so knowledgeable on Futurama. We will definitely be having you back. Maybe we can have you back for the next Hubert episode, or if there's another episode you'd like to come back for.
Oh, there's so many episodes.
But in the meantime, do you have anything you'd like to plug to our listeners?
Where can people find you?
Yes, if you guys would like to find me, I am at Rockham Sakura on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Rockham Sakura. I also have a new eating channel coming out. We're not listed yet, but there's a link in my latest video.
An eating channel?
Eating channel, yeah, I like to eat.
Mukbangs.
Okay. Mukbangs and going out, trying restaurants. I shoved a cucumber up my butt and it came out a pickle. But yeah, it's one of those channels, and it high-fived my prostate on the way out.
I tried that, but it was a zucchini, and I don't know what came out.
Bread.
Bread. It came out as bread.
Yeah. It came out as zoodle.
Zoodle, one singular zoodle. I just really want to thank you, Rockham. You've been a great guest. We all love you. All our listeners should go follow you. And, just be careful when you Google that name,
Yeah, exactly. Or just have some lotion ready.
What I love about your porn is the thumbs up at the camera at the end.
I also do I do a Princess Di wave. There's a car crash happening in my back door.
I can't help but admit that I am one of those people who has the like morbid curiosity of like, well, if there's nudes out there, I don't want to be one of the people who didn't see the nudes. So.
Yeah. If I have a thumb in place of my foreskin, then you're gonna want to see it. Have you seen
comedians need to be in the loop, okay?
Exactly. Have you seen the video of the guy with the sand up his ass?
The sand up his ass?
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't.
What is it?
There's a video on Twitter where a guy shoves a lot of sand up his ass and then he just pushes it out he's at the beach. So he didn't bring it home.
Scooping it, or does he have an apparatus?
We don't know. That's the thing, is the lore is that he the fan cannon is head cannon
sand?
is my head cannon is that he put it in a condom, put it in his butt, popped the condom, pulled it out.
Oh, smart.
So, everyone else thinks that he did it like a vole. And just like poured it in. So Bill is a vole.
Is there such a thing as an anal funnel?
Everything's fun when you put it in your anus. I don't know.
I think a funnel can go wherever you need it to go. You don't need a specially designed one for your anus.
If there's an anal funnel, then there's anal funnel cake.
I can't think of a better way to sign off. Thank you, Rockham.
Sakura.
Thank you, welcome. Thank you.
You're getting further away from it, Mom.
Dun 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 dun. And this has been I'm 40% Podcast. We'll see you next Monday with a brand new episode and a brand new guest. Have a futurific day.
Wow.